Let's now have a look at solving of equations and inequalities. So on the question paper of November 2015, question 2, let us start with question 2.1 and 2.1.1, where we are given 15x squared minus 8 is equals to 14x. And we can see here that the type of equation that we are having is a quadratic equation. So the first step before solving, let us put it in standard form. Standard form, it is the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. So we are going to transpose the equation by taking this 14 to the left hand side, meaning we are subtracting 14x on both sides, but normally we would say what? We take 14x on the left hand side by transposing, so we'll be having 15x squared minus 14x minus 8 is equals to 0. And we do not have any common factors, therefore we can have our bracket, our two brackets for our factors equals to 0. So now, how do we get the values inside the brackets? How do we now factorize a quadratic expression? We have dealt with that when we're doing the simplification, but this is the process. I'm going to do it step by step so that we can see how do we factorize a quadratic expression. If you cannot do it by inspection, do it step by step. You will never get it wrong if you do things step by step. So the first step, we are going to take the coefficient of x squared, which is 15, and we are going to multiply it by the last term, ignoring the sign. We are just going to take 8, meaning we'll take what? 15 multiplied by 8. What is 15 multiplied by 8? 15 multiplied by 8 is 120. 15 times 8 is equals to 120. So now we want the factors of 120, but we want them such that when we add them together or subtract them, we should get the middle term, which is minus 14x. Right. Now, firstly, let's check the sign of the last term. The sign of the last term is negative. Therefore, this tells us that inside the bracket, we are going to have different signs. All right, now let's find the factors of 120. Those ones that when we multiply them together, we'll get 120. But then when we add or subtract them together, we are going to get what? Negative 14x. So start first by saying 120. How do we get the factors? Step by step. 120 divided by 2 is 60. Therefore, the first pair of factors will be 60 and 2. 60 minus 2 or 2 minus 60 does not give us what? 40. Then we move on. Let's find another pair. Let's check 120 divided by 3. 120 divided by 3 is 40. Therefore, 40 multiplied by 3 will give us what? 120. But will this pair of 40 and 3, when we subtract, give us 14? No. Then we check another pair of factors. 120 divided by 4 is 30. And now let's check 30 and 4. 30 minus 4 does not give us 40. Let's move on. 120 now divided by 5 gives us 24. 24, 5. When we subtract, do we get 14? No. Then we move on. We keep on checking another pair. 120 divided by 6 is 20. Therefore, 20 and 6 is the other pair of factors. Now, when we subtract, do we get 14? In this case, yes. But what do we want? We want negative 14. Therefore, we are going to take positive 20 and negative 6. Positive 20 and negative 6. Therefore, we are now going to say 15x squared. Then minus 14x, we are going to replace it with what? With 20x minus 6x. Then we'll be saying not 20x minus 6x. Remember, we want what? We want minus 14x. Therefore, it should be what? Negative 20x plus 6x. Therefore, 20 should be negative and 6 should be positive. Then we say minus 20x plus 6x. We replace minus 20x plus negative 14x with negative 20x plus 6x, and we still have minus 8 equals to 0. Then we are now going to factorize the left hand side using what? Grouping. Group the first two terms and group the last two terms. What are we trying to get? We are trying to get to a common bracket. Now, in the first bracket, what is our common factor? Our common factor here is 5x into 5x squared divided by 5x, 3x, minus 20x divided by 5x minus 4. Then in the second bracket, we also have what? A common factor of 2. Take 2 out as a common factor. Then we are left with 6x divided by 2, 3x minus 8 divided by 2, negative 4 equals to 0. You see, we know that when we factorize by grouping, we are trying to get what? The same bracket. So once we get the same bracket, we take that same bracket out as a common factor. 3x minus 4 as a common factor. Then we'll be left with what? 5x plus 2 equals to 0. So that is how we find the factors of 15x squared minus 4x minus 8 using this long process of factorizing by grouping up until we get what? The correct factors. It is possible by inspection, by just looking at your what? At your coefficients and also using what? The method of trial and error to get straight to 3x minus 4 and 5x plus 2. But if you can't do that at the moment, please take the longer route, step by step, up until you get to the factors. Right? At the moment, you can pause the video so that you can write the step-by-step process of the long way of getting to what? To the factors. You can never get it wrong if you do things step by step. All right, now let's get rid of all these steps. What we needed is just the what? The factors. But that is how you get to the factors when you are factorizing a quadratic trinomial. All right. Then after factorizing, what do? We equate each factor to 0. 3x minus 4 equals to 0, or 5x plus 2 is equals to 0. And then we solve for x. The first equation, 3x transpose, we get 3x is equals to 4, then divide both sides by 3, then x will be equals to 4 over 3. Or on the second equation, 5x will be equals to negative 2. After subtracting 2 from both sides, then you divide both sides by 5, then you get x is equals to negative 2 over 5. We know 5 will cancel 5 there, 3 will cancel 3 in this equation. So this will be our values of x when we are solving the quadratic equation of 15x squared minus 8 is equals to 14x. Right, now let's move on to 2.1.2. 2.1.2, 5 to power x is equals to 1 over 125. So here we are dealing with an exponential equation. Then we know that with an exponential equation, we are trying to get what? The same base. We are trying to get the same base. So on the left-hand side, our base is 5, which is a prime number. So we cannot simplify any further there. But when we look at the right-hand side, 1 over 125. So the first step will be what? Let us rewrite that 1 over 125 as an exponent. So we'll be having 5 to power x. 5 to power x will be equals to 1 over 125. We can rewrite it as 125 to power negative 1. Remember, from the laws of the exponents, we know that 1 over x to power n is equals to x to power negative n. And then from there, we have 5 to power x is equals to 125. 125 is the same as 5 to power 3. We write it as an exponent, 5 to power 3. Then all this is raised to the power of minus 1. Then we apply another law of exponents that says a to power x further raised to the power of y will be equals to a to the power of, you multiply the exponent, x multiplied by y. We do the same thing. 5 to power x will be equals to 5 to power 3 to power minus 1. 3 multiplied by minus 1 is negative 3. So now that we are having the same exponents, what do we do? I mean the same basis. What do? We equate the exponents. Now we are saying x will be equals to negative 3. Now 2.2. 2.2.1. We are now solving an inequality. Remember, we solve inequalities the same way as we solve equations. But remember that when you multiply throughout or both sides by a negative number, or you divide throughout by a negative number, the inequality changes direction. Alright, so we are having 3 multiplied by x plus 7 is less than x divided by 2 plus 1. So the first step, let us multiply out the bracket on the left. 3 times x, 3x, 3 times 7 plus 21 is less than x divided by 2 plus 1. Now we want to get rid of what? Of that 2 in the denominator. It's a fraction, so what do? We multiply throughout by 2. 3x times 2, 6x plus 21 multiplied by 2, 42 is less than x over 2 multiplied by 2 will just be x, and 1 multiplied by 2 will be 2. And then from there, we solve. Let's transpose x on the right hand side to the left hand side. We'll be having 6x minus x is less than, on the right hand side we still have 2, then transposing 42 to the right hand side, now it will be what? Minus 42. Then 6x minus x is 5x. This will be less than 2 minus 42 will be negative 40. Then divide both sides by 5. Divide by 5, divide by 5. X will be less than negative 40 divided by 5 is negative 8. So that will be the solution for 2.2.1. Then let's have 2.2.2. 2.2.2 says represent your answer to question 2.2.1 on a number line. So we draw a number line which will represent the values of x. Then what is the value that we got in 2.1 is x is less than what? Negative 8. Let's have negative 8 on the number line. Now, what does this x less than negative 8 means? It means it will be all the values of x to the left of -8. So we draw a open circle above -8 and all the values of x that are on the left. Then we draw a line that is pointing to the left. Then above 8 here, it will be what? An open circle. Why an open circle? An open circle means what? -8, it is not included. -8 is not part of the solution. So also here on our inequality in 2.2.1, we see that -8 is not included. -8 is not part of the solution, meaning the solution is all the values of x that are less than -8. Now, let us add question 2.2.3. Let us now say in question 2.2.3, they said what? Write our solution in 2.2.1. Let us write it in interval notation. Interval notation. Now, what is the interval notation? The interval notation says x is an element of values, or x will be the values where, or x is the values that are starting from and that are going up to this point, from to. From to. That is the interval notation. The values of x from this value to this value. Meaning what? Meaning the values on the left will always be less than the values on the right. Remember that. What is on the left from will always be less than 2. Then on the left of from, it can either be a closed circle or an open circle. Closed circle when the solution is included. Open circle when it is not included. Then also on the right, we can either have a closed circle or an open circle. Again, closed circle if the value is included, or open circle if the value is not included. So let us now write the interval notation for our solution in 2.2.1. We are saying x will be the values that are starting from now. In 2.2.1, we are saying x will be what? Less than -8. Meaning the biggest value that is less than -8 will be what? -8. Meaning we are starting from somewhere. Where are we starting? Look at our 2.2.2. We are saying what? From -8 going to the left. This arrow means that up to -infinity. So we are starting from -infinity. We are stopping at -8. From -infinity to -8. From -infinity to -8. Then on the side of -infinity, is it going to be an open circle or a closed circle? It is going to be an open circle because we don't know where is up to -infinity. Therefore, we can't include what we don't know. So on the side of -infinity, even when we are dealing with what? Positive infinity, on the side of infinity, it will always be an open circle. Then on the side of -8, will it be open circle or closed circle? Then closed what? Bracket or parenthesis. Then we see from 2.2.1, we only have what? Less than. Less than, we are not having less than or equals to, just less than. Less than means what? Not included. Therefore, we use what? An open bracket. Therefore, this will be our solution in interval notation. Right, let us now have a look at the November 2016. The same type of questions, solving for x and also solving the equations as well as solving the inequalities. Let's start with 2.1.1, where we have x multiplied by x minus 1 is equals to 20. Now the first step, remove the what? The brackets. X times x, x squared, and then x times negative 1, negative x is equals to 20. Then we need to write our quadratic equation in standard form. We're having a quadratic equation, our equation where the highest degree is 2. The highest degree is 2. Then standard form, x squared minus x minus 20 is equals to 0. And then from there, we factorize. This is equals to 0. Then we will have x. We will have x. The last number, the constant number, is what is negative. Therefore, this tells us that inside the brackets, we're going to have what? Different signs. Therefore, what will be the factors of what? Of 20, that when we add or subtract, we get what? Minus 1. It will be 5 and 4. Therefore, 5 will be on the side of negative and 4 will be on the side of positive, such that when we add and subtract, we get negative. But also again, you remember the long process that we did in the question of 2.1.1 in the previous question of November 2015. You can also apply the same process by saying coefficient of x squared 1 multiplied by 20, and then find those factors step by step up until you get to what? X plus 4 multiplied by x minus 5 is equals to 0. So right now what we have done is a method of what? Of inspection, trial and error, because this was a very simple quadratic equation. But even with this one, you can still what? Follow that process if you still get lost somewhere somehow here. Like I said, step by step, you will never get it wrong when you do things step by step, especially if you are not yet strong in solving your equations, factorizing by inspection. All right, after factorizing, now we need to equate each factor to 0. Then we say x plus 4 equals to 0, or x minus 5 is equals to 0. Then x will be equals to negative 4, or x will be equals to positive 5. Then this will be our solution for 2.1.1. Now 2.1.2, we are having 3x minus 2 all divided by 2 is equals to x plus 1. Now, when solving equations that are having fractions and in the numerator or denominator or both, you are having more than one term, put those terms inside the brackets. Therefore, we are going to put 3x minus 2 inside the bracket. Let this be a habit, ne? So that even if we are dealing with equations that are a little bit complex, you do not make mistakes where you have to solve those equations. Make this a habit of putting terms inside the brackets when you are dealing with fractions that are having more than one term in the numerator or denominator or both. And then from there, we now want to get rid of of these 2 in the denominator. What do? We multiply throughout by the denominator. Therefore, 3x minus 2 all divided by 2 multiplied by 2 will be 3x minus 2. As 2 will cancel 2. Then on the right hand side, x times 2, 2x, 1 times 2 plus 2. And then we solve. Transpose 3x minus 2x will be equals to 2 plus 2. 3x minus 2x will be x, and this will be equals to 2 plus 2 is 4. Then the solution for 2.1.2 will be x is equals to 4. Now let's have a look at question 2.2. 2.2, we are dealing with inequalities. 2.2.1, 1, we have minus 1 over 2m is less than 5 but greater than minus 4. And then they say where m is an element of real numbers. In the previous question of November 2015, they did not indicate whether x is an element of real numbers. So if they do not indicate, we always take it that we are dealing with what? With the real numbers. Right. Then 2.2.1, solve for m. We want just what? M. Then it means what? We need to get rid of what? Of this negative half that is connected to m by multiplication. So step 1, multiply throughout by 2. Negative 4 times 2, negative 8. Less or equals to negative 1 over 2m times 2, negative m. Less than 5 multiplied by 2, it will be 10. So now we are having what? Negative m is less than 10 but greater or equals to negative 8. And then from there, we don't want this negative 1, negative m, negative 1. Then what do? Divide throughout by what? By minus 1. Negative 8 divided by negative 1, positive 8. Negative m divided by negative 1 m. 10 divided by negative 1, negative 10. Remember, we said we solve equations the same, we solve inequalities the same way we solve equations. But when we multiply or divide by a negative number, the direction of the inequality changes. So our first inequality here is less or equals to, it is what? It was greater or equals to negative 8. So it will change direction. Now it will be what? Less or equals to 8. Then this inequality was what? Less than 10. It will change inequality, now be what? Greater than negative 10. But now we need to rewrite it in the what? In the correct order. And the correct order is what? X less than, greater than. This is how we represent what? Between. We are saying x is between this value and this value. So the direction is very important. Will always be what? X less than the value, but greater than the value. So here we'll be having what? M less or equals to 8 but greater than negative 10. So this will be our solution for 2.2.1. Then 2.2.2, they say write the answer to question 2.2.1 in interval notation. So we have seen how to write in interval notation in the previous question. So firstly we say m is an element of values from 2. From where? From, again, let's go backward to our inequality. Let's start with this one. X less or equals to a value but greater or equals to what? A value. It means what? X will be the values from 2. From 2. So when we get to this inequality, where is from? From is negative 10. To what? To positive 8. The values that are starting from negative 10 to to positive 8. Now, are we using open brackets or closed brackets? Let's start with negative 10. What is the inequality of negative 10 is greater than. Greater than, it is not greater or equals to. Therefore, open bracket, not included. Ne? Greater than alone means what? Not included. Then, the second inequality is less than or equals to. Less than or equals to means what? 8 is included. Therefore, included, we use a square bracket. So this will be our solution in interval notation. So now, let us add our own question 2.2.3. Our own question 2.2.3, let us say 2.2.3, we have to write the solution of 2.2.1, or not, rather represent. Let's say represent the solution of 2.2.1 on a number line. Alright, let us have our number line where we'll be having the values of what? Of m. What are the values of m? Here is our inequality. They are starting from -10 to 8. So on the number line, we are having from 10 to 8. Now, then on top of 10, open circle. On top of 8, open circle. That's where we start. But we know that the open circles means what? Not included. Then we go to -10. Is -10 included or not included? We go to the inequality. The inequality is just greater than, therefore not included. We leave it as an open circle. Then +8, is 8 included or not included? Then we go to the inequality of 8, which is what? Less than or equals to. Equals to means what? Included. Less or equals to means included. Then if it is included, how do you show it? You shade your circle. You shade your circle, meaning on the number line, how do you show included? You show it by a shaded circle. Then you connect with a straight line. This is now how we represent our solution m less or equals to 8 but greater than -10 on a number line. Alright, now question 2.3. Question 2.3. Point 1. Question 2.3, we are given two equations. 4x squared minus y squared is equals to 171 and 2x minus y is equals to 9. Now question 2.3.1 says calculate the value of 2x plus y. Calculate the value of 2x plus y. Here we have what? 2x minus y is equals to 9. But what do we want? 2x plus y. But now let's look at the equation, the first equation. Our first equation, 4x squared minus y squared is equals to 171. Now, on this equation, on the left hand side, let's look at the expression on the left hand side, 4x squared minus y squared. I hope you can realize that here we are having what? The difference of two squares. Therefore, let's factorize. We know that we'll be having 2 brackets is equals to 171. Therefore, difference of 2 squared, the square root of 4x squared, 2x, plus the square root of y squared, y. And then what do? We repeat the expression on the second bracket, but we change the sign in the middle. Therefore, this will now be what? 2x minus y. Now, on our the given information, we know the value of 2x minus y. It is 9. Therefore, let us substitute 9 where we see 2x minus y. So we'll have 2x plus y multiplied by 9 is equals to 171. So now the question was for us to find the value of what? 2x plus y. Therefore, let's divide now both sides by what? By 9. Divide by 9, divide by 9. Then we get 2x plus y being equals to, what is 171 divided by 9? 171 divided by 9 gives us 90. Therefore, the value of 2x plus y is equals to 19. Then now, 2.3.2. 2.3.2 says now we must solve simultaneously for x and y. And we know that for our simultaneous equations, we are solving for what? Two linear equations. So we are going to take the first equation, 2x minus y is equals to 9, and the other equation being what? 2x plus y is equals to 19. Then we say this is our equation 1 and this is our equation 2. Okay, we have space. In fact, let's take the whole of question 2.2, 2.3.2 to the other side. 2.3.2, we have established what? The two equations that we must solve simultaneously. 2x minus y is equals to 9 and 2x plus y is equals to 19. Now, let's label our equations equation 1 and equation 2. Remember, we have two methods of what? Of solving simultaneous equations that are linear. It's either by substitution or by elimination. So if you look at the two equations, the method of elimination will apply. Because now we are having, on the first equation, we have 2x and we also have what? 2x. So if we subtract the two equations, we'll be able now to eliminate what? X. So let's say equation 1 minus equation 2. So in equation 1, 2x minus 2x in equation 2, 2x minus x will be 0. And then from there, we go to y minus y minus y minus positive y, it will be minus y will now be what? Minus 2y is equals to, then on the right hand side, the constant numbers. In equation y, we have 9 minus 19 gives us minus 10. Meaning we're having what? 2x minus 2x. And then we're also having what? Minus y will be equals to what? 9 minus 19. That's what we mean by what? Subtracting the two equations. Then solve for y, divide both sides by negative 2, divide by negative 2. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is 1. Then y will be equals to positive 5. Then after finding one value, what do? We substitute it on one of the equations. Now we are saying substitute y is equals to 5 into which equation? We can take any equation. So let's take equation 2. In equation 2, then what do? Where we see in equation 2, where we see y, we are going to substitute 5. So equation 2, 2x plus y is equals to 19. Here is our y. So where we see y, what do? We substitute 5. So our equation will be 2x plus 5 is equals to 19. Then let's solve for x. Transpose 2x is equals to 19 minus 5. 19 minus 5 will give us 40. Then divide both sides by 2. 2x divided by 2, x is equals to 14 divided by 2 will be 7. Then that will be our solutions for solving the two equations. The two equations, 2x minus y is equals to 9 and 2x plus y is equals to 19 simultaneously.